Hi everyone, it's me, Tim, and today I want to talk about game production stages. This is actually an answer to a question I got from Charlie K 5964 who asks, as a follow-up to the ideas video, what should go into the prototype? Should it be a minimum viable product or should things like art be included? Now that's a really good question, but a couple things. Different companies call different things a prototype. So what I thought I'd do is walk through the stages that my games have gone through, and I'll tell you the names I give them. Just bear in mind that some companies will call these different things. Also, it turns out, and this isn't just for Charlie K's question, but it's true. It's a really good question that I'm surprised it never occurred to me to do a video on. This is an example of I've just been using these terms for decades. I don't even think about them. The idea that somebody wouldn't know like what a vertical or horizontal slice was or a beautiful corner. I have to be reminded that even though everybody I talk to at work always seems to know what all these terms are, once you go outside the business, people are like, beautiful corner. So let me go through them in order. This is roughly the stages that a game production will go through. So probably the first thing that gets made, and I'm not going to talk about design docs and art meetings and all that. I'm talking about things that we actually make with the engine that other people in the development team will use. So the first things that are probably made are test rooms. These are individual levels, stages, rooms, whatever you want to call them, that are designed to test a feature in isolation. So they tend to be broken up into different kinds of test rooms. A combat test room may have a single creature, a couple creatures, a group of creatures, a boss, a creature that does a particular kind of attack, like a breath weapon or something. There's usually a table or chest filled with different weapons. In case you don't know what the cheat codes are for getting them, you can just go grab one. Some of the creatures are set to fight back, some aren't. Sometimes there's a big button on the wall, press to turn off, creature AI, so you can just turn it off and you can just test a weapon, test a combat maneuver you're putting in without actually being attacked back by the creature. Similarly, there's stealth test rooms that have places that have locks to pick of different difficulties, computers to hack, traps to disarm, guards to sneak by, vents, or what we call them in Outer Worlds, crouch holes, things to test, like this is how, I can go into these things and avoid combat. This is testing stealth detection, things like that. There's a dialogue test room that does everything from here's how close you have to get to someone before dialogue activates to here's what a dialogue looks like, what the NPC camera is like. Here's what dialogue between multiple NPCs would be like. Here's what dialogue that includes companions would be like. Here's an example of events that can break a dialogue. Like you might have a room you can go into where you start talking to someone and then combat breaks out. And finally, there's exploration test rooms. These are rooms that test things like jumping and crouching. This is how high I can jump. This is how low I can crouch and still go under things. Again, these are put in so that anyone on the team can go in and go, oh, this is the minimum height something can be that I can still get under it. This is the maximum height something can be that I can jump up to it. Something we can go to and look at. So when you're maybe a level designer is making a brand new level and he wants to know what those bounds are. The next thing that's made, to answer Charlie K's question directly, is a prototype. A prototype is something that's put together to test all features together. It's playable game, but it's not final art. In fact, sometimes the prototype might even be gray box, where you're just in these gray rooms. It's there to test maybe, oh, this is how one of our levels may be put together, the pacing of combat, traps, guards, dialogues. It's an example of this is what the game will feel like to play, but it won't look like this. Conversely, around the time of a prototype, usually after, but very rarely I've seen it done at the same time or before, you make something called a beautiful corner. A beautiful corner is usually done to show the team or the publisher, this is what the game is going to look like when we ship. It's also a test to make sure that the artists are capable of creating the art, the in-game art that looks like what the concept art was like. A beautiful corner is a very small area. It's usually not playable, and if it is playable, you just can walk around it. The player instantiates and can just walk. If it's not playable, then it's usually a camera that you just move through the area. It's a small section, and the reason it's often called a beautiful corner is if you turn around 180 degrees and look behind you, you can see, oh, it's not, the art isn't behind me, it's just in front of me. The beautiful corner for Outer Worlds was a water treatment plant. You could walk among the equipment. You could look out windows. A ship flew by. There was a person near the top that was just standing there. You could actually see this is what the game would look like when it shipped. Then there are two other things that are made later, oft a year or two into development, or I should say 50%, maybe halfway, 2/3 of the way through development. They're the two slices. I've heard vertical slice used a lot. A vertical slice is you take one area to completion. It has virtually every feature that's going to be in the shipped game. Virtually all the art will be finished. The purpose of a vertical slice is to show exactly what the game will be like. It'll look like this. It'll play like this. This is the game. Now, when I say virtually, it's because it's one area, there may be some things you can't show. Like if it's a town, maybe you can't show harvesting resources. If it's an outdoor area, maybe you can't show fast travel to another location because that just isn't there. The vertical slice for Outer Worlds was Roseway, which had several instances in it, a town, and a ship. But it didn't include crafting because the crafting station was on the ship, and we didn't let you go in the ship. Because of that, it also didn't include fast travel to another level. It also didn't let you switch your companions. You started with 2 companions because you couldn't get back in the ship. You couldn't switch them. That was all done deliberately because those features weren't available yet. We only had 2 companions done. But everything else about that level was done to completion, including VO for the companions. Sometimes that's something that would be left out of vertical slice. We actually did it. So Roseway, actually, we had that over a year before we shipped. We actually had a playable level, and we said, look, this is what the game's going to be like. That was very cool because it got, by that point, everybody, publisher, development team, everybody should be on the same page because you can always go, look at the vertical slice. The whole game's going to be like that. Another one, which I hadn't heard of a lot, I don't know if I came up with this term, I don't remember hearing it anywhere before I started using it, was a horizontal slice. A horizontal slice is a complete orthogonal idea to the vertical slice. A horizontal slice is all the areas in the game are playable, but they're not completed. They're not to final completion. Some of them may be gray boxed. Some of them may not have all of the content in that they're going to have, but they're roughly playable. And the reason for this, and the reason you do a horizontal slice, is several reasons. One, you want to figure out how all these levels are connected. You may discover that you have a level and you didn't think about how the player was going to get there. He can't walk there because it's physically disconnected. Ooh, I guess we need to put a landing pad here because the only way they're going to get there is with the ship. Sometimes you can't get to a map unless you get a quest for the map that takes you there. Those are things we have to figure out. It's like, well, this quest has to be something everybody can get. It can't be a side quest that we only support limited player character types for. The other thing you do with horizontal slice is you figure out playtime. You can figure out the rough playtime of your game once you have the horizontal slice because you have all the levels. They're roughly playable. They've got most, but not all of their content. So if you put together a horizontal slice and you can play it in 20 hours, you're pretty sure your game isn't going to be less than 20 hours because you're going to be putting even more content in. It just gives you a good overall idea of, did we make a 20-hour game, a 40-hour game, an 80-hour game? And then finally, especially for the kind of games I make, which are nonlinear, a horizontal slice lets you figure out ordering issues. It lets you figure out things like, oh, what happens if the player goes to this level before they go to this level? What happens if, as soon as getting the quest over here, they run over here instead? These are things you have to figure out. Are all the different play options available to the character? Are they telegraphed? Is the player at least warned this is a tough level to go to? Are there NPCs that don't respond correctly in their dialogue to the player having already gone to some other place out of order? It's something we really tried to do in all of our games, is not make any assumption that the player had done something or hadn't done something before talking to an NPC. The horizontal slice lets you work out a lot of that. By the way, the horizontal slice eventually turns into the game. As you fill it with more and more content, eventually you stop calling it the horizontal slice and it becomes the game. The next stage is the alpha stage. I've heard this called different things at different companies, but the alpha stage is when all the areas are in, they're all playable, all the content's in, unlike the horizontal slice, all the content's in, but the alpha may still be unbalanced. It may be, well, probably is buggy, and it may be missing small amounts of final content. Like maybe all the crafting stations are in and all the correct locations, but maybe not every recipe has been finished. Or maybe all the recipes are in, but some of the resources you're supposed to get, that you're supposed to harvest, they haven't finished putting down where all of those are yet. So maybe you're supposed to mine a certain ore, and all the places where you can mine that ore aren't completed yet. But at least one is, so we consider this an alpha because you can test it, figure out all the things the player potentially can do. The beta is the next and final stage before shipping. The beta is when all the content's in. There's no more, you're not going to say we're going to add any more content, side content, tasks, achievements, nothing. It's all in. Beta is the time where you fix bugs, do any final balancing tweaks to formulas for combat or vendor prices, and this is where optimization is done. You can optimize a little in the earlier stages, especially if it's affecting development, like some level has a frame rate that's so bad you can't even test it. But this is the stage, the beta stage, where most of the optimization should happen. I've already talked about the dangers of early optimization. So this is why you should have a beta stage, to let the programmers and artists are often responsible for optimization too, when they put in too many big textures or models with too many polygons in them. And then that's the last stage until the final stage, final ship. That's when the game goes out, people are playing it, hallelujah, you're done, right? No, patches. Patches, you may do official and unofficial patches. Patches can fix bugs. Patches can balance the game. Patches can put in a little extra content that maybe you missed. Like maybe there's some voiceover missing from an NPC, and you fix all that stuff in patches, and now you're done, right? Wait, there's one more thing. There's DLC, downloadable content. DLC is anything from extra packs that you give, like cosmetic packs that people can buy. It's like, oh, look, there's new armor, there's new hats, there's new crafting recipes. Or it could be full-on content. DLC, which has new levels, new storyline, new adventures you can do. The level cap may be increased, new perks are added, new skills are added. Skills have their cap increased. DLC does all of that. I don't consider that a patch. That's all the DLC that basically makes more content for the game. Now, sometimes things get blurred, and sometimes DLCs seem like sequels, and sequels sometimes seem like expensive DLCs, but that's roughly all the stages that a game goes through. So just to recap: test rooms, prototype, beautiful corner, vertical slice, horizontal slice, alpha, beta, ship, patch, DLC. 9 stages. I think that answered Charlie K's question, and maybe a few other questions. So, hope you liked it.